Hello, my name's Fran Sands. Welcome to myboxingcoach.com. I had an email a while ago asking me to do a video about the learning curve in boxing. Now, it's a huge subject about how learning boxing and learning how to box and what that journey is, and some of the elements of that. Now, it's a huge topic for discussion. So all I'm going to try and do today is talk to you in three areas. Number one, I'm going to give you some of my observations about the learning curve, and that's from my viewpoint as a boxing coach. And I've been a boxing coach for over 20 years now, and so I've seen lots, and I've experienced lots, and I've worked with lots. So I've not seen it all because no one ever has, but I've seen some interesting stuff. And then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my learning curve as a boxer. So I'm going to cast my mind back a long time in a land far. Well, no, the land wasn't far. It was actually in here, to be honest with you. As a boxer, how I developed in this gym, and how my boxing career panned out, and what I noticed in my experiences. And then finally, I want to give you some tips on how to make your learning curve as effective as it can be. So I'm going to give you a bunch of tips on that to try and help you along your way. So from a coach's point of view, one of the things I'll say is I don't believe there's any such thing as an overnight success in boxing. I think generally speaking, it's an activity that takes time and experience and learning by doing to get right. In those 20 plus years, I think there's only been two occasions where one day a boxer who's relatively new, who's not looking really that good, all of a sudden they just turn into something a whole lot better. I think that's happened to me twice in 20 years, where it's literally something happened overnight where you've not noticed it, and they've just gone, all of a sudden they've gone from being fairly uncoordinated, not able to demonstrate themselves as a competent or effective boxer, and then a couple of days later, often in battle, often in contest, all of a sudden they just look really capable, and it's unrecognisable from the guy you saw a week before. It's only happened twice in 20 years. Mostly it's a gradual process over time, and there are a huge number of variables when it comes to learning any process, but in learning how to box, it's about your own learning style. What type of character are you? How do you approach learning? Do you just like to get in and do it, or do you like to sit down and think through the theory and try and work that out and apply logic and everything else? The environment, what type of environment is it? Is it conducive to good learning? What approach does the coach take? Coaches are generally important in this process of learning a sport, or in particular boxing. So there's lots of variables. But another thing that I think is really important, the individual needs to be positive, needs to be self-critical, but not excessively self-critical. Too many boxers I see are too critical of the work that they do, are too hard on themselves. They always must have a desire to learn and get better. But it's not easy. The easiest thing in the world is to say to yourself, I'm crap, I'm rubbish at this, and get yourself into a bit of a rut on that. So you need to learn to not be excessively self-critical. Look, on average, it takes me about 6 to 12 months to get someone ready for boxing. It's taken me as long as 2 years to get someone to a position where I felt they were good enough to go in a ring. And even then I was a bit nervous about it, to be honest with you. You never truly know how someone's going to take it until they get punched in the mouth in competition, until someone's stood in front of them actually trying to hurt them. What I would say, the learning curve of a boxer, and this is probably true in most sports, it's only a curve, it's only a smooth, gradual improvement over a prolonged period. When you look at it over a shortened period, it's very much plateau, learn a bit, feel like you've had a really bad night, but the next night you've got a bit better and then you plateau again. So it's a really sort of, stuttering journey. But if you look at it over a prolonged period, you see an improvement. Interestingly, every year we have a presentation night where we give out awards to boxers, and we've been doing this for many years. And it's really interesting when you do an analysis of one boxing season, when the individuals who get most dedicated or most improved boxers in one season, quite often in the next season, they will get the Boxer of the Season award. There's no, I don't believe that's a coincidence. Hard work pays off. So there's just some of my thoughts from a coach point of view. So from my own boxing experience point of view, so I first began boxing when I was 6. I came in this gym at the age of 6. That was in 1978. I had my first contest at age 11. So boxed right through my childhood and then into young adulthood. My first 25 fights, I won about 12 of them. Best thing you can say about that was average. I was distinctly average, despite all of those years in a boxing club. But I wasn't really focused. After those 25 fights, I kind of became single-minded, determined, really didn't enjoy the feeling of getting beat. Really sour feeling. It's awful. Compared to winning a fight, it's really dreadful. I wanted to win. I wanted to win titles. I wanted to box for my country. They were my driving forces, if you like. And it was all about building skills for me. I always saw it as a skills game. So I needed to have an openness to learning, a willingness to really drive on. I would always look at how I could improve my footwork. How can I land without taking punches? How can I really become a brilliant and effective body puncher? All of those are things that you set your mind to and you study them in different ways, and you look to gain small improvements here and there. For me, I had a great environment. I had brilliant coaches not only in here, but when I got onto, as you get better as a boxer, you get onto regional squad, you represent your region and then your city, your region, and then your country. So I reckon over my boxing career, I must have been influenced by 50 or more coaches on all of the varying setups that I encountered. And I took something, I'm pretty much sure, from every one of those coaches. My fellow boxers, I tended to be inspired by their success. I was never jealous or envious of my fellow boxers. When they had success, I just used to think, outstanding, I want more, I want some of that. And I'd watch them and I'd study them, especially the older guys. And I'd follow their lead and I'd try and get better, I'd try and improve. It's all about growth mindset. If you ever have a chance, have a look into that growth mindset by a theory from someone called Carol Dweck, I should say, Dweck. Well worth looking at, and if you're going to learn anything, have a growth mindset. Worked hard all of the time, and got the right fights at the right time as well, the right amount of challenge. And over that decade, after those first 25 fights, my final 25 fights were in the first 25 I'd won 12, my final 25 I'd won 20 of them against a high caliber of opposition. Now believe me, in that period of time, I'd had some really bad times, I fought a guy called Paul Ingle. You can look this guy up on Boxrec. He ended up world champion, and me and him became really firm friends. I boxed him in a place called in Newcastle in the northeast of England. It was this in the national quarterfinals, and in the first round, when you get in the ring at that age, quick diversion, when you get in the ring and your opponents in amateur boxing, they get a badge for every title they won. Paul got in the ring and he had shorts down to his knees, and the front of his shorts were covered in badges, and I looked across the ring and thought, he's a handy lad, this fella. And then he turned round and he had them all over the arse of his shorts as well. And you just think, oh my God, what's this guy bringing to the ring? And we went out and he hit me with this 1-2 to the chin, and then this uppercut to the body that nearly disemboweled me. It literally stopped me breathing. And I managed to get through to the end of the fight. I think I was one of the few that season who survived to the end of the fight with Paul. He was a brilliant, brilliant fighter. And interestingly, the next year, I went to the same place, not boxing Paul this time, boxing another guy, gets in the ring. You know, I'm 18 or so at this time, and the guy opposite me, my body had kind of forgot that it needed to go through puberty. I was a late developer. I was wiry and thin and sort of hairless, and I looked across the ring. This guy had a beard and a moustache, and I thought, oh no, not again. But I went out and managed to nail him with body punches right at the outset, and really hurt him badly, and he never got over it, never recovered. So that was my learning curve the year before I'd fought Paul. It was an excellent experience. It was tough, it was hard. It was one of the loveliest men I ever met in boxing, Paul. He was an amazing guy. And then a year later, having gone through a whole year of development and learning, it was my turn. So that was a big curve on my learning curve as a boxer. It was a gradual improvement to the point where I did achieve some really good success. So how do we make your learning curve smooth, effective, as steep as it can be, by helping you develop at the right speed? Okay, so 6 tips. Number 1, learn by doing. Whether you're a competitor or whether you're in this just for fitness, both are fantastic sort of fantastic things to try and achieve and be involved with. But whatever you're doing it for, drills. It's a skills business, okay? It's a skills game. Do the drills, learn your skills, you will get better. I mentioned earlier, it's easy to be hypercritical of yourself. It gets a bit tiresome as a coach for a boxer to constantly criticise themselves. It just tires you out and it bores you as a coach. So don't do it. Learning boxing skills is not easy. If it was easy, I'd go and stand outside the local pub, and at closing time, and every drunk fella that came out, I'd get them down here and get them in and let them be boxers. It's not easy, so don't be too critical of yourself. The curve is not smooth, okay? Remember that. Set goals. You need to have a long-term goal, but also, as importantly, you need to set short-term goals as well. And they might be as simple as get my jab to be the best it can be. Be able to move in and out in a smooth way. Learn the role. And that might take you a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Execute, drill. You need small wins on your journey, otherwise you become disheartened. Measure your progress. Number 4. Video yourself doing a particular sequence of skills. Let a month or 2 pass, and then video yourself again doing those same skills. And compare the two. How have you improved? Have you got better at it? There's other devices out there that you can improve punch volume, punch power, things like the Everlast Pick, PIQ, and the AXO sort of punch monitors, these punch monitoring systems. I've got a couple of them at home that we use them occasionally in here. But yeah, well, worth considering. Have a look at them. Aim for your ideal. Okay, so yeah, good, great. Be the next Roy Jones Jr. But if you want to keep yourself encouraged, compare yourself to where you've come from every now and again. All right? If you're constantly comparing yourself against an ideal, then it's not realistic. Compare yourself to the journey you've been on. Compare yourself to the you of 6 months ago. Look how much you've improved and developed. A lot of this is about building confidence, and that comes from capability. So give yourself credit for the journey you've been on. And number 6, look, expect to have shit days. Expect to have training sessions that just don't click. You will get better. These sessions often contribute more to your overall outcome. I had a bad day in Newcastle when Paul Ingle nearly disemboweled me with a left uppercut. But over time, that became one of the most brilliant development experiences of my 60-fight boxing career. It taught me an awful lot, and it built me a relationship with a lad who I loved to meet subsequently on England squad. He was a great guy, and I, cherish those memories. But it made me a much better fighter. Those sessions hide real improvement. Try to make your session great when you walk in the door. But look, accept some days you're going to have off days. You know what? I've gone on for so long. I hope I haven't bored you. I hope you've picked up a couple of things and it's been of some small help. Sign up to the Beginner Boxer Toolkit. You get lots of advice in there around the skills, the psychology, how to use the equipment, training regimes, macro cycles, micro cycles. Really helpful stuff in there. It's a free book. Sign up. Otherwise, subscribe, share with your mates if you think it'll help. And I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Thank you.